For $35,000, you could buy a brand new mid-spec Toyota Camry. That would be a great option if you were lame. But for the same price, you can pick up any of these three EVs. We have a rear-wheel drive BMW electric sports sedan that exudes Aerodynamics energy, a Polestar 2 built by a company that requires all their employees to have the exact same LinkedIn profile picture, and the Tesla Model 3, an EV that wants to replace your therapist with Grok. In today's video, we will explore all three of these electric sports sedans and find out which one is truly worthy of your money. Before we start today's video, my name is Andrew Lambrecht. I'm a project engineer here at Ever, and I'm also a contributor at Inside EVs and Business Insider covering electric cars. To kick off this overview, we are going to talk about the tech specs of each of these EVs. Up first is the BMW i4 eDrive 35. This car weighs in at 4,553 pounds, and it uses a single rear motor generating 282 horsepower. With a 66 kilowatt-hour usable battery pack, this car has an EPA range of up to 276 miles. It has a peak DC charge rate of 180 kilowatts and can charge from 10 to 80% in 32 minutes. This particular i4 is a 2024 model year, and used, it's priced in the mid $30,000 range. Next on our list is the Polestar 2. This is a 2024 Polestar 2 long-range dual motor. This car weighs in at 4,740 pounds and produces a healthy 421 horsepower thanks to two electric motors. The Polestar 2 uses a 78 kilowatt-hour usable battery pack that's good for an EPA range of 276 miles. With a peak charge rate of 155 kilowatts, the Polestar 2 can charge from 10 to 80% in the mid 30-minute range. Like the BMW i4, you can find 2024 Polestar 2s for around $35,000 with low miles. And finally, we have the 2024 Tesla Model 3 standard range rear-wheel drive. The Tesla Model 3 weighs in at 3,881 pounds and makes an unknown amount of horsepower because Tesla doesn't tell you. It is rear-wheel drive and uses a 60-ish kilowatt-hour battery pack that's good for an EPA range of 272 miles. It has a peak charge rate of around 170 kilowatts and can charge from 10 to 80% in under 30 minutes. This particular Model 3 is priced in the low $30,000 range, though if you want a long-range all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, you'll be looking more in the $35,000 range. And those are the on-paper specs. Within our comparison, the Polestar 2 has the best because it's all-wheel drive and it features 276 miles of EPA range. But I think the important thing to remember here is that there's a lot of different trims. For instance, you can find the BMW i4 eDrive 40, perhaps an older 2022 model, within this $30,000 to $35,000 price range. And you can also find the Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive with over 340 miles of EPA range and much quicker acceleration. However, in our comparison, the Polestar 2 takes the crown with the best range and quickest 0 to 60 time. It is a bit of a chunk, weighing in at 4,740 pounds, but it does have good range and performance. Now let's discuss each of these cars' designs. The first design is that of the BMW i4. This car has two massive nostril grills on the front. They are so big you could probably land a Cessna on them. But when you ignore that, you can see a massive flowing hood and smooth lines going throughout the entirety of the body. This car has a drag coefficient of 0.24 and it sits 4.9 inches above the ground. Overall, I generally like the BMW i4's design. It's elegant and muscular. Up next is the Polestar 2. This vehicle exudes a sense of Scandinavian minimalism. I don't know, I thought that sounded kind of cool. But what you do care about is the drag coefficient, because this car is not very aerodynamic when compared to the i4 in the Tesla Model 3. This car has a drag coefficient of 0.28, which is definitely on the less aerodynamic side. What is cool though is that we get 5.9 inches of ground clearance and plastic cladding along the lower side of the car. So out of all these vehicles, the Polestar 2 is almost more crossover-ish. And that's really funny because the Polestar 2 is actually built on the Volvo XC40 Recharge platform. So this is actually on a crossover platform, and we see angles and ground clearances that almost resemble that of a crossover. So pretty cool. Next up is the Nissan Leaf. Finally, we have the Tesla Model 3. This isn't a particularly tantalizing design, though it is very functional. This car has a drag coefficient of just 0.22, and it still has 5.4 inches of ground clearance. So very functional design, very aerodynamic design, but there's not a lot going on, and the side profile hasn't changed at all since 2017. Our design segment winners are the BMW i4 and the Polestar 2. The i4 has a very pleasant design. It looks like a traditional BMW, and I think, at least from the side profile, it really is one of my favorite looking electric sedans. Then we have the Polestar 2. This vehicle is pretty cool. It's kind of like a hybrid between a sedan and a crossover. You have plastic cladding that makes it look a little bit more rugged, and you have pretty decent ground clearance. Each of these vehicles have very different design philosophies. They go in different directions, but I think they suit each of these vehicles very well. Now let's see how practical they are. As for cargo space, the BMW i4 has a power opening tailgate, and when it opens up, it reveals 16.6 cubic feet of space. We also get a lower load floor area, and this particular one has the Harman Kardon subwoofer, which takes up most of the space. But otherwise, this is a pretty spacious and accessible rear storage area. Underneath the BMW i4's hood, we don't get a front trunk. That's very flaccid. The Polestar 2 has a power opening liftgate, just like the BMW i4, but this one is slightly smaller. This car has a cargo volume of 14.4 cubic feet. However, there are some cool amenities back here. For instance, we have this cargo divider, which can pop up like so, and a lower load floor area, revealing even more space. Overall, it's a pretty solid storage area. Up front, the Polestar 2 features a modest front trunk with 1.3 cubic feet of cargo volume. When factoring in the rear cargo storage area, the Polestar 2 has a combined cargo volume of 15.7 cubic feet, which is actually still less than the rear cargo area alone in the BMW i4. Despite the Tesla Model 3's teardrop shape, we actually have a trunk and not a hatchback. To open it, you press this button, and it opens up automatically. The Tesla Model 3 features the largest rear storage area out of all three of these EVs with 21 cubic feet. We even have a massive lower load floor area that opens up to reveal lots of space underneath. There's a lot of space in the Model 3. Up front, the Tesla Model 3's frunk is home to 3.1 cubic feet of cargo volume. When we combine the front trunk with the rear trunk, the Tesla Model 3 is home to 24.1 cubic feet of total cargo volume. That's a really good number. Our segment winner is easily the Tesla Model 3. This car has 24.1 cubic feet of cargo volume in a mid-size sedan form factor. For comparison, the Honda Prologue offers 25.2 cubic feet. In other words, that is a full-blown SUV with just 1.1 more cubic feet of cargo volume than a sedan. The packaging in this car is truly top-notch. Up first is the BMW i4. The door thud is really solid. These seats are perforated Sensitech, which is BMW's leatherette material. They aren't particularly soft, though I gotta say this saddle brown color really complements the San Remo green metallic exterior. It looks really nice and really British. As for amenities back here, we get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, 2 AC vents, 2 USB-C ports, and rear climate controls as standard. The BMW i4 comes with a 3-zone climate control system as standard, and that's a pretty nice feature. There is one slight caveat to these back seats, and that is the BMW i4 uses a shared platform just like the Polestar 2. So the BMW i4's platform can also accommodate internal combustion engine powertrains. And what that means is we have a transmission tunnel located in the center area. And if you're sitting in the middle seat, your legroom is going to be severely impeded. The one nice thing about this is that if you're sitting on the outboard seats, your seating position is a little bit more natural. So as we'll see in the Tesla Model 3, our leg position is pretty decent back here. It doesn't feel like we're squatting down. But overall, it's not very spacious in these back seats. You feel a little confined. The one nice thing, however, is all the good materials. This entire door panel is composed of soft touch leatherette materials, and we get these pretty cool aluminum accents. The lower portion of this panel is made out of this rubberized material, so it feels better than hard, scratchy plastic. The back seats in the BMW i4 are a fine place to be. Up front, the BMW i4 is kind of a vibe. The materials are pretty solid up here, and we get this nice black headliner as standard that makes this car feel more performance oriented. We get lots of aluminum accents and open grain wood. We also get 2 cup holders, a wireless phone charger, a USB-C port, for some reason a USB-A port, and we get lots of physical knobs. So there's a volume knob right here, and our scroll wheel for BMW's iDrive infotainment. There's lots of tactile buttons in here, and this feels like a traditional BMW. As for options and features, you pretty much only get heated seats as standard. If you want ventilated seats, you actually gotta pay a decent amount extra for that because you need to first have the leather, black, or mocha seats, and only then can you pay $500 extra to get the ventilation function. So it's kind of a hullabaloo to get that option, and not many used i4s have that feature. The other feature that you should really look for is the Harman Kardon sound system. This sound system is excellent. The base audio system, not so much, but the HK sound is a really nice upgrade. And if you are an audiophile, I highly recommend to try to find one with the HK system. And to determine if the i4 has that feature, just look up here. And if it says Harman Kardon on that side speaker, then, well, it has the Harman Kardon sound system. But overall, I still really like this interior. We get lots of nice materials. The steering wheel feels great, and the center screens kind of point towards you. It feels like a very driver-focused car. And by the way, I don't even think I mentioned this, we do get a power opening sunroof as standard. One of the very few electric sedans with a power opening sunroof. So if you are driving down the California coast, you can roll down all your windows, open up the sunroof, and you're like a third the way there to becoming a convertible. Polestar 2 back seats. The door sounds really good. And now we get to the seating material, which is peculiar. These seats are made out of weave tech, that's what Polestar calls it, and it's a little strange. Imagine leatherette mixed with cloth and rubber. It's very peculiar, especially when you're sitting. It's a very strange material. It is water resistant, which is nice. So if you go surfing and you come back engulfed in moisture, you can sit on these seats without posing any damage. That is nice. But I don't know, they're just a little odd. If you get the Napa leather package, obviously you have Napa leather and that feels really nice, but not all Polestar 2s have that package added. What is nice, however, is the black headliner, the panoramic glass roof thanks to the Plus package, this center armrest with 2 cup holders. We also get 2 AC vents. The outboard seats are heated, once again, thanks to the Plus package, and we get 2 USB-C ports. There is a pretty large transmission hump located in the center area, so once again, like the BMW i4, the middle seats do have limited legroom. But once again, these footwells are relatively low, the seating position is fine, and yeah, I think these back seats are pretty decent. Starting off, the vibe. The vibe is actually really nice in here. This feels almost like a muscle car. And what do I mean by that? Well, our windshield is a little bit more narrow and we feel kind of enclosed by this center console area. Some people don't really like this. They think it feels a little bit more confined, but I honestly think it works really well in the Polestar 2. This definitely has a different feel than a lot of other EVs on the market. As standard, we get cloth seats that are heated. This particular one has the WeaveTech seats and they are once again heated. This particular one with the Plus package adds on a heated steering wheel. And as standard, the steering wheel is leather wrapped and feels pretty nice, honestly. This is a really good feeling steering wheel. We get a physical volume knob with a pause and play button, so that is really nice. If you need to turn down the volume really quickly, you can just scroll on this wheel, and that's a lot nicer than going through the screen. We also get this drive selector right here, which looks really unique. It feels pretty good in the hand and very intuitive. You pull back for drive, push forward for reverse. As for the features in this interior, we do have a wireless phone charger, 2 USB-C ports, 1 cup holder. There's actually a second one that's hidden underneath the center console, though to access it, you need to open up the center console, and then there's nowhere for you to put your elbow, which is kind of weird. I mean, you could actually put a drink in there, but then you could close this and it would crush it, and then the drink owner would be really sad, and then they would drive erratically, and that is not good. As standard, you get an 8-speaker, 250-watt high-performance sound system, which is actually somewhat decent. And then this one with the Plus package comes with a 13-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, which is really punchy. It's a really good sound system, and it's the same brand as that of the BMW i4's premium sound system. Generally, Harman Kardon sound systems are really good, and that case is no different in the Polestar 2. One thing I don't particularly love about the interior, and this goes for the back seats too, is just all the plastic in here. So this whole center console area, while there is some wood on the inside, this whole outer facing area is all kind of scratchy plastic, and that's a little unfortunate. Overall, this interior is fine, C+, B- territory, somewhere in there. Tesla Model 3 interior, door thud, that was actually really solid. And I think one of the nice things on the refresh Model 3s is just how much Tesla improved the interior quality over time. We go from some of the older Tesla Model 3s, which didn't really feel that great in the back seats, to this new Model 3, which actually feels very, very premium. Let's start off by these seats. We have a nice stitching pattern. These seats are perforated, they're not ventilated, but they are heated. So all 3 of these seats are individually heated, and they feel really nice. These seats are definitely a huge improvement over the older seats. We also get a nice center armrest with 2 cup holders, and even the attention to detail is really nice. We get aluminum inserts around the edges of the cup holders. Just feels a little more premium in here than the outgoing Teslas. Since the Model 3 is built from the ground up as an EV, we get a totally flat floor area. And yeah, there's lots of leg room. One of the slight caveats is the seating position is a little more angled, so it feels like we are squatting down a little bit more than we were in the Polestar 2 or BMW i4. But then the trade-off is we get lots of leg space. And also, as standard on the premium Model 3s, we get lots of features. So we have ambient lighting in the door panel, glass roof as standard, and this 8-inch center display, so we can control our climate controls, we can change the radio station, watch movies, play video games, and you can even adjust the front passenger seat from the back screen. It's pretty cool. We get 1 massive AC vent located beneath the screen, 2 USB-C ports, and my final note on the back seats of this interior is just the overall improvement of materials. So there's very little plastic back here. In fact, this whole lower B-pillar area is made up of soft touch material. It then turns into the headliner, and all the lower portion is all carpeting. This is really good for sound deadening because the older Tesla Model 3s used to be pretty noisy, and in these newer ones, we get lots of soft touch materials, and even the inside of this door pocket is all felt lined. This is something that you don't really get in vehicles of this price point. Typically, they're plastic all on the inside, like in the Polestar 2 or BMW i4. And in here, we get felt-lined door pockets, which is something you really only find on more expensive vehicles. In terms of build quality and features, I'm really digging the updated Model 3's back seats. Up front, the Model 3's front seats are really nice. They are power operated, heated, and ventilated as standard. You don't have to pay anything extra for that, so that is a really nice touch. These seats are also a lot more comfortable than the outgoing version, and they have a decent amount of bolstering. We get 2 wireless phone chargers, this pretty interesting center console area with 2 cup holders, and a center console that features just 1 USB-C port. That's a bit peculiar. The seating position in here is pretty good. We have this nice ambient light ring that wraps around the interior, but this car doesn't feel quite as sporty as the Polestar 2 or the BMW i4. This car feels more open, airy, and spacious, and this is really just a driver preference. Do you want something that feels like a sports sedan, or do you want something that feels, I don't know, something different than that? As for other features and amenities, rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3s come with a 9-speaker partial premium, that's what Tesla calls it, audio system, which is honestly pretty good. I think the partial premium in the Model 3 still packs a decent punch. If you get a long-range all-wheel drive or performance version, then you get a 17-speaker sound system with 2 subwoofers. That is a really top-notch sound system, but the 9-speaker should still suffice for most people. Other than that, we have our massive center screen, and all the materials feel really nice. In fact, this entire dashboard is all soft touch materials and all soft touch surrounding the center console area. In fact, there's very little plastic up front, just like in the back. The materials in here are honestly really solid. Overall, the Model 3's interior excels with a great array of standard features like the good sound system, ventilated seats, and the materials are also very impressive. Our segment winners go to the BMW i4 for having just a really nice interior feel. It feels like a true performance car, and I think BMW nailed just the overall vibe of the interior. The Model 3 also wins because its standard features and materials are just so good. You get heated and ventilated seats, a rear center display, and there's very little plastic on the interior. As for software, the BMW i4 uses iDrive 8 as its infotainment system. iDrive 8 is a generally robust system. We have built-in navigation with EV route planning, and we also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They both work wirelessly, and if you don't want to use the built-in navigation, then you can use PlugShare, a better route planner, or even Google Maps to plan out your EV road trips. But I will say the built-in route planner is pretty solid. The infotainment display is touchscreen and it's very responsive, and we can also use the infotainment scroll wheel mouse located in the center console if we want to control the screen through there. We also have a charging menu where we can adjust the battery percentage we want to charge the vehicle up to, and we can also adjust the current. So if you are charging on level 1 or level 2, you can down-regulate the current so your car doesn't charge as fast, or you can protect an older breaker. Since this particular BMW i4 has the parking assistant package, we get a really nice 360 camera view, and there's even a 3D option, so you can look around your car as if it's a video game in 3D. It's pretty sweet. Where the system really shines is in the driver gauge cluster, and there's so much customization depending on your drive mode. So whether you're in comfort mode or sport mode, you can really make that gauge cluster behave very differently, and that's really cool. So when you're in comfort mode, you can have a relaxing screen, or if you put in sport mode, you can have your G meter, or you can even put up your map in there. I think BMW's iDrive system offers a good blend of tech and traditionality. Overall, the Polestar 2's infotainment system is, I'd say, adequate. It does pretty much everything you want it to. You can adjust various vehicle settings easily, like the steering feel. You can change the one-pedal drive modes and turn creep on or off, but it doesn't really go above and beyond. In fact, we do have Apple CarPlay in the Polestar 2 and Android Auto, though if you want to use Apple CarPlay, it is wired, so the connection is wired. It's not even wireless Apple CarPlay, which is a little strange. That said, we do have some apps on this infotainment, like an internet browser, and we can even go to Google Maps to plan out an EV road trip through there. I really think the Google Maps system is phenomenal in the Polestar 2, and it can plan out your EV road trips with ease. All the climate controls are done through the center screen, And at least we do have a physical volume knob here, just like in the BMW i4. We also get a gauge cluster where we can see our map, or we can just have our speed, battery percentage, and that sort of stuff. Compared to the BMW, this screen is really limited in customization. You pretty much either got the map or just the power display meter. The Polestar 2 also has a 360-degree camera. It's a top-down view, and it's all right. It's definitely an improvement over the outgoing model years, but I really think Polestar's only main improvement was just adjusting the colors of the camera, not the camera quality itself, but it is still a pretty nice system for when you're parking in tight spaces. If you're looking for a techie electric car that doesn't really go overboard in any direction, you'll be pleased with the Polestar 2. Software in the Tesla Model 3 is really top-notch. Thanks to an AMD Ryzen chip, we get really snappy and responsive graphics, and there is tons of functionality and customizability. So for instance, if we want to plan out a road trip, we can easily get a road trip planned with all our supercharging stops easily added in, and the map is really nice to work with. When you're pinching and zooming in on the map, it has the responsiveness of a smartphone. It feels really nice. Thanks to Hardware 4, we get crisp and clear cameras that pop right up, and we have a toy box with a bunch of little Easter eggs and fun stuff to play around with. And we even get a theater mode with Netflix, YouTube, and some other streaming services. If you're sitting at a supercharger and you have some time to kill, there's no shortage of things to do on this infotainment display. Overall, Tesla's infotainment is excellent, but some of this minimalism can come to a fault, and that mainly resides within the steering wheel controls and mirror controls. So you don't have any physical controls for those things. It's all done through the screen, which can be a little awkward. But once you have your settings saved, you really aren't going to be adjusting them that much. If you're into tech, you're really going to love the infotainment in the Tesla Model 3. Our software winner goes to the Tesla Model 3. This car has had really good software since 2017, and with the latest computer chip, constant software updates, Tesla has really cooked on this new system. From the effortless route planning to the super responsive Tesla app that can even work on your Apple Watch, this vehicle just takes the connected ecosystem to a whole new level. And as a cherry on top, this backseat screen feels more responsive than the Polestar 2's main center display. That's pretty crazy. As for charging and range, the BMW i4 eDrive 35 has an EPA range of up to 276 miles. This particular one, running on the 19-inch wheels, gets a 252-mile EPA range. This car can accept up to 180 kilowatts on a DC fast charger, but it does have a pretty steep charging curve, meaning that the 180 kilowatt peak charge rate will taper off pretty quickly, delivering us a 10 to 80% charge time of around 32 minutes. One issue with the BMW i4 is that it currently cannot use Tesla superchargers that are not Magic Dock locations. So you can use a Magic Dock location, though there are very few of them, but if you use a regular Tesla supercharger with an adapter, it won't work. So currently with the BMW i4, you are limited to CCS locations. The Polestar 2 has an EPA range of 276 miles, the exact same as the BMW i4, and this one has a peak DC charging rate of 155 kilowatts. The Polestar 2 can charge from 10 to 80% in around 34 minutes. Unlike the BMW i4, the Polestar 2 can use any Tesla supercharger, so simply put on the adapter, plug your car in, and the Polestar 2 will charge just fine. The Tesla Model 3 has an EPA range of up to 272 miles, though this particular one with the 19-inch upgraded wheels has an EPA range of 248. With a 170 kilowatt peak charge rate, the Model 3 can charge from 10 to 80% in around 27 minutes. Since this particular Tesla Model 3 has the standard range LFP battery pack, your charging habits are actually going to be a little bit different than these other EVs here. So while you typically want to charge your EV up to around 80% in most daily use circumstances, this Tesla Model 3 with the LFP battery actually needs to be charged to 100% occasionally, so the battery algorithm knows what state of charge it is. There's a different voltage curve, and we can dive into all the science and engineering behind this, but effectively the battery pack will need to be charged to 100% occasionally so the car can actually read its state of charge. This is only exclusive to the 2022 through 2024 standard range rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3s, so it doesn't affect all models, but it's good to know if you have one. Otherwise, when planning your EV routes, you got access to the supercharging network, and it's very, very seamless. Simply plug in, it makes a handshake with the car, and your credit card will be charged. While none of these cars offer groundbreaking charging speeds with 800-volt technology like the Kia EV6, Hyundai Ioniq 5, or Porsche Taycan do, we still got to give the winner to the Tesla Model 3 because this car just makes EV road tripping so easy with seamless route planning and easy charging. If you're looking for an EV that makes road tripping simple and intuitive, the Tesla Model 3 is it. Now let's get these cars out on the road and see how they drive. Up first is the BMW i4 eDrive 35. That's a pretty long name, but all you need to know, at least in terms of the powertrain, is that this car makes 282 horsepower and weighs in at around 4,552 pounds. This car is reasonably quick whenever you accelerate, so right now we're at around 30 miles per hour. If I floor it, yeah, we get a pretty good surge of torque. It's definitely not as quick as even the eDrive 40 or the M50, but I think this is still plenty quick for most daily driving. This is the lightest BMW i4 variant, and it should be the most fun around corners. So we're actually approaching some country roads, and we'll see how this thing does. I'll throw it into sport mode so we get the Hans Zimmer sound, and if I accelerate, sounds pretty cool. So through corners, the steering is a little lighter, I'd say, than the M50, but the handling is just as good. So if you saw that earlier, as I was exiting that corner, we actually got the rear end to kick out a little bit. So that was really fun. And as we'll see in the Polestar 2 and the Tesla Model 3, they're just not quite as playful as the i4. Yeah, this car is a lot of fun. The BMW i4 has one pedal driving. To enable it, you actually use the drive selector. So you have drive, and then you can pull it back one more time for B mode, and you get one pedal driving, and it brings you to a complete stop. The system is pretty well calibrated overall, though when you are on hills, it can be a little jerky. But for all intents and purposes, the system is quite well calibrated. Now we're on the highway, so we can talk about noises, ride quality, and autonomous driving. First off, with the noises, it's pretty quiet in here. We recorded around 64 decibels at 70 miles per hour, which is pretty quiet. This is Lucid Air territory, and it's even quieter than the Tesla Model S, which costs way more brand new. The ride quality is definitely on the firmer and sportier side, so you will feel some more road imperfections and bumps, but I still think it's a very well composed system, and on the highway, it's decently comfortable. As for autonomous driving, this particular BMW i4 doesn't have any of the driver assistance packages added on. And that's a little disappointing because that means we don't even have adaptive cruise control. There's no lane centering or anything like that. We do have a blind spot monitor, which is nice. If you do find a BMW i4 with that driver assistance package added on, then we get adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and if you have a BMW i4 between 2022 and 2024, the car will have hands-free driving at under 40 miles per hour, which is really cool. It's called Traffic Jam Assistant, and it works really well. If you get a 2025 model year or newer, then you can actually have hands-free driving at up to 85 miles per hour, which is really cool. The driver assistance package also adds on automated lane changes, so you simply put your blinker on and then the car will change lanes for you. BMW's system kind of works whenever it wants to, so that automated lane change is not quite as functional as Lucid Air's Dream Drive Pro, for instance. But overall, the BMW i4 is a really fun car to drive. The driving experience is definitely heightened when we add on the driver assistance package to have at least assisted driving on the highway, but even without it, this car is a really pleasant place to be in. It has a well-composed chassis, it's fun to drive around corners, and it's really quiet on the highway. Those are all great things to look for if you ask me. Up next is the Polestar 2. This car is the heaviest in our comparison, weighing in at 4,740 pounds, but it also makes the most amount of horsepower, 421 horsepower and 546 pound-feet of torque. Unlike the other two cars in our comparison, this is all-wheel drive, so we do have the benefit of 2 electric motors for increased traction. Let's first see how this car handles back roads. So we can really feel that this car is heavy, especially when you're turning this car, you can feel that you're pushing a lot of mass. The accelerator pedal is very responsive, and we have one pedal driving, so when we put it in one pedal driving mode, it feels very well calibrated. The brake pedal also feels really good, so if I brake here right now, it feels very natural. I think the brake pedal feels quite good in this car. All right, now we're at a standstill. Let's see how quick this is off the line. Okay, really good power delivery straight off the line. Yeah, it's really quick. Polestar says this can do 0 to 60 in the low 4-second range, and it really feels like that. This is a tremendously quick car. In terms of the raw driving experience, the Polestar 2 is pretty fun. Do I think it's quite as good as the BMW i4? Not really, but for what it's worth, the Polestar 2 is engaging. On the highway, we've recorded 64 decibels, which is really good. There is a little bit more wind noise in here. My guess is due to the more boxy shape on this car compared to the i4, but overall, it's still a pretty quiet car. If you opt for a 2024 or newer Polestar 2 long-range dual motor, like this one right here, you will get the Pilot package included as standard, so you don't have to pay anything extra for that. And that's nice, especially when you're looking on the used market, because all of them have the Pilot pack. When you turn on Pilot Assist, the car will steer itself on the lane on the highway and keep you a safe distance from the car ahead of you. You can take your hands off the wheel for around 10 to 15 seconds before it will yell at you to put your hands back. In my experience, Pilot Assist has worked pretty well. It's not too great around sharper curves, but for most normal highway driving, Pilot Assist is a really nice option to have. Overall, the driving experience in the Polestar 2 is really solid. The steering feels nice, the handling is good, the power delivery is great, and it comes with a solid autonomous driving suite as standard. I really enjoy driving the Polestar 2. Finally, we are in the refreshed Tesla Model 3. Since this particular one has the LFP battery pack, it is the slowest Model 3 at 5.8 seconds, 0 to 60. But the good thing is you can get quicker ones too, especially the all-wheel drive. We are seeing those prices also in the $35,000 range, and that one has around 400 horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. But this Model 3, the LFP battery pack, is particularly nice because it is the lightest Model 3. It weighs in at just 3,880 pounds, which is the lightest car by a long stretch in our comparison. And even if you get the all-wheel drive Model 3, it still weighs in just a little over 4,000 pounds, making it still lighter than all of the other cars we've compared it against. But now, taking this Model 3 on some curvy roads, let's see how it handles. To preface things, I've owned a 2019 and a 2021 Tesla Model 3. I've also driven numerous refresh ones, including the Performance, but I'm really excited to see how this one handles back roads. All right, impression time. So I honestly think the first gen Model 3, or whatever we want to call it, 2017 through 2023 model year, it's a pretty fun car to drive on back roads because the handling is really good, the steering is super responsive, but there is a big caveat, and that is the ride quality. It can feel very kind of jittery over bumps, but in the new Model 3, it really improves. So ride quality is truly impressive. It's a great feeling car on the road, but you also get that really good handling just like in the old Model 3. So I think Tesla was really able to dial that in on the refresh. Since we are in the LFP, let's just accelerate. And yeah, it's fine. It's reasonably quick. It's definitely not as quick as an all-wheel drive or anything like that, but it's BMW i4 eDrive 35 territory. It's perfectly fine. But one of the really impressive things I've noticed with the Model 3 is just how quiet the cabin is. It's a really huge improvement over the old Model 3. So we're gonna take this up on a highway and see what it's like. As for interior sound, we're recording around 67 decibels, which isn't crazy, but compared to the old Model 3's 70 decibels, and that's my 2021 with the dual glazed front windows. The 2019 is presumably even worse. This is a decent upgrade. It's still not as quiet as a BMW i4 or anything like that, but it's definitely an upgrade over the outgoing ones. The suspension is also a lot softer when you're driving on the highway, and it's just frankly a more comfortable car to drive in. As for autonomous driving and that sort of stuff, you get autopilot as standard in the Model 3, so the car will center yourself on the lane on the highway and use adaptive cruise control to keep you a safe distance from the car ahead of you. It works very well. I have autopilot on my Model 3, and I don't really have any major criticisms with it. Yes, it does occasionally make mistakes here and there, but so do most systems, and this one at least lets you take your hands off the wheel for around 30 seconds or more at times, and it really just helps make your commute a lot more relaxing. FSD, as I've said before, is a whole different animal. It's really awesome. It can do everything from city driving, highway driving, lane changes, automatic parking, summon on your phone, etc. Does it make mistakes? Yes, it does. You should just be aware and paying attention when the system is on, but it's really awesome what FSD is capable of doing. I've experienced it several times in different cars. Even my own 2019 Model 3 had FSD. Granted, I was on hardware 3, so it's not quite the same, but yeah, it works. It's a really awesome system. I think if you're into autonomous driving and you like playing around with stuff like that, definitely try to spring for a Model 3 with FSD already on. You can pay a monthly fee. I believe it's $99 a month to have the system, or pay $8,000 to just own the software. I don't think it's quite worth it at the moment, and if you really want it, I would just say look for a used Model 3 with FSD already on. Overall, I'm really impressed with the new Model 3. It's a huge upgrade over the outgoing Model 3, and the driving experience, I would say, rivals a lot of much more upstream vehicles in the market. The old Model 3, while it was a nice car, it didn't really exude that premium feel. I mean, sure, you had a lot of nice features, good sound system, etc., but this new Model 3 just really feels like a much more expensive car when you're behind the wheel. And I would argue that between the materials, the ride experience, everything like that, this is better than the refreshed Tesla Model S. As for our driving segment winners, I think each of these cars do really well and serve different purposes. The BMW i4 is a really nice driving car, and it's really fun in corners. It's quiet and feels very well composed. The Polestar 2 is also a really nice driving car. You have plenty of grip and a very well-refined one-pedal driving system. And finally, the Tesla Model 3 is an improved version of an already excellent driving EV. The handling feels better, the steering feel is more natural, it's quieter inside, and it's the lightest EV out of all three of these cars by a long stretch. Simply put, all three of these EVs are very enjoyable to drive. Now that concludes our review. Let's see how all these cars stand up and which ones we recommend. Tallying up our scores, we get 3 for the BMW i4, 3 for the Polestar 2, and 5 for the Tesla Model 3, making it our winner. But before we discuss the Model 3, let's talk about the strong suits of the BMW i4 and Polestar 2. The BMW i4 stands out because it is such a pleasurable car to drive. Everything from the steering feel to the handling to just the overall quietness of the interior. The BMW i4 is a true driver's car. We also get a well thought out interior with a solid iDrive software suite. But my favorite attribute of the BMW i4 is just the variety in configurations you can find. For instance, this particular BMW i4 has the San Remo green metallic paint and the brown Sensitech interior. Considering there's like 4 different interior options you can get as standard and numerous different paint options for money extra, the probability of finding another BMW i4 with this exact configuration is pretty low. If you're looking for an electric sports sedan that's high-end and stands out, the i4 is definitely it. The Polestar 2 really stands out because it has such a unique design. It's very Volvo-esque, which is fitting because Volvo is actually Polestar's sister company and owns some stake in the company itself, but the car looks really unique. Since the Polestar 2 utilizes a crossover platform, we do have some crossover dynamics. So we have 5.9 inches of ground clearance, which is higher than both of its competitors, and it also has plastic on the lower side of the car, which is great because then if you kick up rocks, it's not going to scratch the paint. Not to mention, if you find an all-wheel drive one like this right here, we do have a lot of nice amenities like the Pilot Pack is standard. So you don't need to do any extra searching for features like lane centering or adaptive cruise control because they all have them. With 276 miles of range and 421 horsepower, the Polestar 2 still has really competitive specs. Finally, we've got the winner, the Tesla Model 3. I truly think this is the best EV for most people. If you want a seamless, easy, and connected ownership experience, the Model 3 is definitely it. While the Tesla Model 3's driving experience and build quality has improved over time, I think the big selling point in the Model 3 is that you have everything you need on the base model. There's no traditional option packages like you get in the Polestar 2 or the BMW i4, so all models come with autopilot as standard, heated and ventilated front seats, and the rear infotainment screen. If you're looking for a car that will just make your life easier, the Model 3 is it. If you enjoyed today's video, please donate $25 to your local animal shelter so you can rename one of the kittens Evercar's official. Or you can just hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.